Okay, first I want to welcome everybody to another virtual meeting. We seem to be holding our own at around 40 people, which I think is very good considering we don't have that interaction that we would have at face-to-face value. So I think we're doing good. I do want to thank Walt and Bob Kelshaw and Perry Lamb for making this all possible. They really do work hard to make sure that we can get out there. So just so you knew that. The first thing we have is some announcements. Walt, did you want to talk about elections?
Yes, I do. And then I'll turn it back over to you when we get done with that and the awards.
Okay.
Everybody, our elections is coming up. Rick Coble, are you online now? You are here? Rick Coble. Okay, Rick might be having some technical difficulties, so I'll go ahead and speak. Maybe he'll come in here in a second. We're going to be doing the elections, and we have our candidates here tonight. And so what we want to do is just introduce you to the candidates, let them give about a 30-second to a 1-minute spill about themselves and why you might want to vote for them during this upcoming election. Rick and Chuck are going to be handling an electronic election. There are 30 members that will be sent ballots that do not have email, but the rest of the organization will be sent electronic email. There will be an e-blast a couple days prior to the elections that will tell you what's going on and what's going to happen, and then you will be getting a special email just like in the SCR and in national. You'll be getting an electronic email that allow you to pick the names on the ballot and send back. It's a one-time thing, and you'll be able to do it, and you'll get that information. So that's going to be occurring here probably around, I think Rick said around the 22nd. If he's online, he can correct me or whatever, but I think that's when he said things will start to move forward with the elections. And then by the meeting in November, we should have the results and go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with no particular order. I'm just going to call your name. It might be just because I see you on the screen.
Okay. So you can hear what he's.
Well, Hank, you're already talking, so I'm going to introduce you to Hank Primus. Hank is one of our members that's going to be running for a director at large. Hank, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Hank Primus. I've been a model railroader for a member of the NMRA for about 25 years. The only problem was I was always on the road. I never got to go to meetings. When I finally got to go to meetings, they thought I was a new guy. Recently relocated here to Atlanta. And I've been enjoying working with people, working with things. Right now, I'm working with the train show, trying to get that up and going. And hopefully we'll have a good one this year. If not, I'll understand why you don't vote for me. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Hank. He's going to be running for a director at large position. The next person running for a director at large position is Peter. Peter, you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and why you want to run and stuff?
Good evening, Peter Thomas. As you gather from the accent, I'm not from around here. I moved to America about 7 years ago and retired, and after a little while decided I wanted to take up model railroading. I joined the NMRA as a center of excellence and an expertise and a bunch of folks who I could pick the brains of. That's worked out wonderfully. I would like to bring, if elected, just insight from the real beginner, as opposed to Hank's 25 years, I'm off about 2.5 years. And I find a lot of the material out there, as we used to say in England, you need to crawl before you walk, before you run. There's loads of stuff out there if you want to run. If you're trying to crawl, it's a challenge. So it needs just a bit of a different spin and an extra message on it. So I hope I can bring something useful and valuable to the committee.
All right. Peter is also running for a director at large position. There are 4 director at large positions that are open. There are 3 candidates right now. The other candidate is Jim Hobbs, who is currently on the board as an incumbent. He will be rerunning. He had to go off. He's actually out of town right now. He had to go off with the family, so he is not online right now unless he just popped in or something. But Jim Hobbs is currently on the board, doing a great job. Hadn't been able to do too much lately, but he does attend the meetings, and even when he's out of town, he jumps in with us and make sure he tries to attend the meeting and stuff. So he's done a good job. So he'll be on the ballot as well as a director at large. There is one open position. So if you're, I don't know the procedure. I know Chuck and Rick would be glad to discuss it with you if you're interested in still running. There's an open slot, and I think you can actually do a write-in possibility if you're interested in running. So just contact one of them if you're interested. All right, so our next positions are actually the administration position. So I'm going to start off. Can you make sure Gary Fish is unmuted?
I
Gary,
have asked him to.
okay, Gary Fish, if you can hear me, please unmute.
Okay.
There he is. Gary
Am I
Fish.
unmuted now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
There you go. Gary Fish is
Beautiful.
going to be running for the Director of Personnel. Gary, I'm going to give you a chance just to kind of introduce yourself and tell everybody and a little bit about you and why you're running for the position.
Okay. Hey, guys. My name is Gary Fish. I'm a lifelong model railroader. Once I found out there were actually groups that met, it made me very excited to be part of the NMRA. I am a professional volunteer. I'm always volunteering for something, and I've spent my time doing everything from the refreshments. So I enjoy all of you who come by to enjoy our refreshments at the meetings. And I'm also at all the events we have. I've been a volunteer at all the events. I do the events we have over at whether it's the train shows, whether it's our own train show, etc. And so this was an opportunity to help us grow our group, get the word out to more folks. And so I'm looking forward to the challenge of having some good growth, especially since, to say the least, we've been a little bit shut down, and we're going to need to work a little bit to help get some of these folks really excited about being a. I'm going to start my video. I did not know my video was not on. But we have a. It'll be an opportunity to help get some of the folks who have been either not knowing that we've got things going on or unable to be a participant with us, to help get them back on board. And of course, as we start growing, getting back as regulars to the meetings and having some growth. So that is my goal. I look forward to take over this position. And it's I don't know if anyone has any questions, but it should be very good. So I'm excited about the opportunity. And sorry for the confusion. My phone keeps turning off. The video just turned off, and I didn't touch it.
That's all right. I think it's your bandwidth is maybe going in. All right. So the next position that's going to be available is the Director of Administration. And Jim Dacca, there he is. He keeps moving around on my screen. So, Jim Dacca, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you and why you want to run for Director of Administration.
Okay. I model Engage, pre-World War II, Upper Midwest, Milwaukee Road is my home railroad. I'm currently the timetable editor and Director of Administration. Basically, the two roles are keeping the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting and updating notices in hobby magazines. As I've been writing a lot with the timetable, I just thought it was a natural extension to what I'm doing currently and provide more support to the division.
All right. Jim has done a really good job with the timetable, and I will tell you this, being on this administration, he has been a very important person behind the scenes. A lot of y'all don't see stuff that happens, but Jim is very involved in a lot of the committees and just kind of jumps in and helps out wherever. So he's a great asset to our division for sure. So, all right. So the next position that's running is Perry Lamb. Perry Lamb's going to be running for the superintendent, and he'll actually be taking over the first year after my term is up. With him running. So Perry, why don't you introduce yourself and let everybody know a little more about you?
Good evening. My name is Perry Lamb. I am currently the Director of Administration for the division. I'll be sending a bunch of stuff to Jim Dacca. We need to meet and talk. I'm also the host of these meetings, both the Board of Director and this general meeting. I teach in the Boy Scout program. I coordinate the training camp program. a fair number of you I've seen in training camps. They've been interesting and fun. We try to keep the division active and busy. We're trying to keep the division active and busy during this time of the pandemic, and we're keeping it going. And I would like to continue to support the division in the coming couple of years. So I'm running for superintendent. I appreciate if you would vote. Thanks, Walt.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody that's wanting to run. I will tell you this. Actually, I read a little message from Rick. We were talking about the write-in. He said that is correct. You may be a write-in. You will not be added to the ballot, but placed on the website or listed on the e-blast. So if you are interested in running for any position as a write-in, you have that option. But we do have an open slot for a director at large. So if anybody would like to step up, that is a great opportunity to serve the division at this point. So it is important. I mean, if you love the hobby, this is a chance to serve. I will tell you all this. I've been on the board for actually a long time. I think I took a 3-month time out a little bit and came back on, but it's been a few years, and I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of a back to break a little bit. So. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, but it's a chance to serve the hobby. It's a chance to serve the division and the national as a part of an important role down here. So if you're interested and maybe you're not sure, give me a call. I'll be glad to discuss with you about what some of the things we do and what your role is as a director or any position. So be glad to talk to you. Thank you, everybody, for planning to run. And make sure to please vote when you get your ballots electronically in. The guys are working hard to handle all this. So I've seen a lot of people come online as we've been here. I'd like to welcome you if you're just coming in line with us. One of the things we wanted to do tonight, Charlie Mason, there he is. He's in my upper right-hand corner. I feel like this Hollywood Squares thing. I'm kind of having to look for everybody. But Charlie, we have something. I'm going to give me just a second here. Let me.
Okay. I have the privilege today to announce some achievement program awards. Recently, Mike Cummings contacted me about having some judging done on several models. I arranged a team of judges, and we met Mike at his house outside in the shade, and as a result, we gave Mike 2 merit awards. First merit award was for his Central of New Jersey Railroad caboose. You'll see a picture that's up on the monitor right now. This was a very nicely done model that Mike was modeling a specific prototype. He had all the photographs and added a lot of details to make this a model of this particular caboose. We awarded him a merit award for this. This made his 4th merit award for scratch building cars, and as such, that qualified Mike for the Master Builder Cars AP certificate. So we will be mailing Mike his award for that. Congratulate Mike for the AP certificate. That is Mike's 5th certificate. So he's working on the remaining 2 certificates that will then qualify him to be an MMR. The second model is of a Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western signal tower in Scranton, Pennsylvania. These are HO scale models. On this particular model, Mike had a full interior, and we could show you several shots of the interior. Mike has been in that and around that building for a number of times and had a lot of pictures. And so he has a fully detailed interior, very, very nice model. So I would like to congratulate Mike Cummings for earning 2 merit awards and for earning the Achievement Program certificate for model builder cars. If anybody else has some models that they would like judged, all they have to do is contact me. You can email me or give me a telephone call, and I will arrange for a team of judges, and we will meet at a convenient location and date and see what we can do for you. Thank you.
I see Mike Cummings just is online. I see him there. So, Mike, congratulations. I see you online with us now.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. And great job by the judges. You know, we stayed outside, we socially distanced, people wore masks. We did it right. And I would encourage anybody that's, I know a lot of people have been modeling. If you need some things judged, Charlie will arrange to do it safely.
Yep. Fantastic models. They look really nice, man. Really good work craftsmanship. So
Thank you.
all right. All right. Sally, you ready? You got your part on?
I am ready. As you all know, we are working on the pilgrimage, and this year it's an online event. And I just wanted you to know I'm going to talk about the Facebook part of it, and then Mike can jump in and talk about the general workings of how it's going to be pulled off. But basically, what we do, or part of our promoting this, is to use Facebook. And when we do Facebook, there are 2 ways to do it. You can pay to have them push your information out there, or you can have your own circle of friends share it, and share it a lot. And we are asking right now, or I am asking right now, to get out there and share it when you see it. It helps us get people involved in the pilgrimage, and it's just going to be such a great event this year. Mike, do you want to say anything else about it? Mike Deaton?
Yeah, I've been having trouble finding my unmute button.
Oh.
Thanks, Sally. Just briefly, I took this thing on with when I lost Gary Jervis last year, and of course the pandemic came along. We had to really pivot and come up with a new way to do this thing because we're not having people in basements this year. So what we've done for the pilgrimage, everybody probably has heard at this point, but just to kind of recap it and encapsulize it, we are doing a virtual pilgrimage where we've got 30-something videos already in the can. We were shooting for about 48. We have in our hopper in progress, and we're going to be releasing 5 or 6 videos every weekend morning, starting on Halloween through November 22nd. And there are many of the layouts you know and love, but we do have some of the classes. We've got Dr. Joe Nichols Sr., of course, has been around in the layout in Atlanta forever. We've got a couple. We have 2 new ones this year. I know that have never been on pilgrimage before. It'd be a great opportunity to see layouts that are too far out or other sides of town from you that you've never been able to get to. We've got a lot of quarantine modeling that's been done this year, so we're just real excited about the work that's being done. Go to our Piedmont Pilgrimage website, check what's being posted on Facebook, and we'll start having videos up there on Halloween morning. And I'm going to do a little brief introduction each day, summary, to let you know what days layouts are being featured and so forth. If you are participating as a host, I want to certainly thank you very much for participating under the circumstances. This has been a kind of a crazy thing to do it this way, but I think we made the right choice last spring. So we're in the right place to make the most of it for this year. And certainly thank you to all the volunteers and my committee people that have Charlie Mason doing my layout contacts, Tom Gordon doing coordinating videos, getting done. I've got some great video people. Craig Knox has been doing editing by Kelshaw. We've had some other resources involved. Sally and Foliage and Dacta. Everybody that's been participating with this has been very helpful to me to get us to this point. So very enthusiastic and excited about where we're going to be here in just a couple of weeks. So watch some videos, have a good time. And we'll hope to see you in person next year. Until then, stay safe. That's our sign off. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Mike. One of the things that we're going to also do for the pilgrimage is once the video is introduced on that morning, it will be available up until, did we agree on December 31st, Mike?
At least we'll take them down eventually at some point, but yeah, we'll leave them up there for several months. Also, real quick, if I could, I forgot to mention we're trying to do some live Q&A sessions. We kind of tested the technology for that. We'd like to have one of the days feature layouts. Maybe have a host come on and answer some questions online for half an hour, maybe that afternoon or something. So I'm reaching out to people now, starting to contact folks for volunteers for that. So it's an added feature to give it that in-person, treatment.
So what I was getting at is if you cannot be there to watch the launch of these videos, you've got more opportunity once they've been shown. So you can go on our website and pick them out and enjoy them.
The pilgrimage website, once the layouts are the videos are posted each day of the release dates, everything will still be there for months to come.
Okay. All right, Jim Dacka, tell us about the photo contest.
Okay, we've had 27 entries so far. We've got 2 categories, models and prototype. We've simplified it because we're doing it virtual. Tomorrow is the last day for submitting. If everyone should have gotten information on their email, an email with how to do it. If you do have any questions, contact me, jdatka, JDATKA @mindspring.com, and I'll help you through it. But so far, it's been working very well.
That sounds good. Thank you, Jim. Okay, Hank, are you ready to tell us about the train show? Hank?
Help yourself, Hank.
There we
go. Can't find that unmute button. Our train show for 2021 is moving ahead very well. We are going to hold it on March 13th and 14th, and it will be at the Clarence Brown Conference Center in Cartersville. We moved out to Cartersville rather than having it in the Cobb Galleria because after the beating we took last year, we didn't want to extend ourselves too much in case things didn't go well. It's going to be very nice. The vendors are happy. They do like coming out there rather than going to the Galleria because of load and unload problems. And we're moving right ahead. Sally has been extremely helpful in getting ads together, which will be coming out very soon. Jim Travis is taking over the finance for us, and he will be going out with emails to the vendors very soon. I've already made phone calls to 5 of our largest vendors and have them on board. So I have contracts going out to them, which should get back relatively soon. One of the big holes I have right now is the white elephant sale. I do not have a volunteer yet to run the white elephant sale. Brian has done a very great job over the past few years. He is not able to do it this year. He can help with it and teach how it goes, but he will not be able to administrate. I'm looking for somebody who would like to administrate that and take it over. Now, you don't all have to put your hands up at once, but I would love to hear from anybody who's interested in joining the team. And that's about all I have, Sally.
Okay, thank you very much, Hank. Okay, so now we want to talk to our clinician. We want to welcome Eric Hensman, and his clinic is going to be backdating plastic freight car models. Eric, are you ready?
I'm all set. Thank you
Perfect.
very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate having the opportunity to present to the Piedmont division. Many thanks to Walt and Perry for setting this up.
Very
Let
good.
me share my screen here and get this show on the road.
Yes, sir.
How's that look?
Yeah, it looks good. Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. I know we all have a bunch of plastic models, freight car models, I should say. And believe it or not, quite a few of them might need a different kind of brake system in order to fit your era, if you choose to do so. Let me see, I forget what buttons here I need to press to move things forward. There we go. Yeah, I know this seems like an odd question, backdating freight cars, because most of the time in the hobby press, we're talking about modernizing them, right? Well, believe it or not, this is something you do. And I've heard all the reactions. Why would we want to do such a thing? Well, there are a lot of HO scale plastic models that represent freight cars that were built in the teens and the 20s. And they need a little work to best reflect the period. And if you model before 1953, these same freight cars might need similar updates. So if you model before World War II and the 1930s, this stuff is for you. If you model before 52, 53, there's some interesting things here that you may want to really pay attention to. And let's go forward here. Here we go. There were a lot of regulations that spurred change on the prototypes. These are just a few of them. These are some of the key dates that really affect some of the appearances on freight cars. What a lot of people don't realize is AB brakes came in the early 30s. And let me get my pointer going that looks better than this. Aha! And all newly built cars were required to have AB brakes in 1933. And then newly rebuilt cars 4 years later in 37. And everyone always asks me this question, when were arch bar trucks banned from interchange? And that was in 1940. And then in 45, we had wood running boards outlawed. So that really changed the appearance of a lot of new box cars. Now, one thing I'm missing on here, in the early 30s, there was another, I don't have the exact date, but there was another regulation that went through adding another grab iron to the left side of a car. And we'll go through that with a couple prototype photos coming up. And then, of course, the big one, January 1st, 54, the K-brake systems were banned on all interchange cars, including empty returning tank cars. So that's key. You know, before that time, a lot of the freight car fleet with the older brakes were either upgraded or disposed of. So, whoops. Now, this is a great book that the NMRA published. I hope you have this. It's a wonderful documentation of the freight car fleet around Harrisburg, Pennsylvania in that post-war period. There's 350 freight car images here, and there's even more of these in the Charles collection that I know at one time you could access them through the NMRA website with your membership info. But just a simple look through this book, you'll find 47 cars have K-brake systems that you can easily see. There might be more, but they aren't always easy to distinguish. So that's 13.4% of the freight cars, of 350 freight car images in that book. Here's one of those photos. Single sheath boxcar, Illinois Central, very, very common design. This is from a lot of 500 car order from 27. They had several different lots of this, plus they had automobile car versions with an extra door right here, a half door, and which was later removed and wood plated over that. But this is a pretty common car. And here's your K-brake system right here, 1947. Pennsylvania Railroad, the X-29, thousands and thousands and thousands of these things were built. And they all originally came with K-brake systems. This is actually a K disconnected system, a KD system, also known as a split K. And remember, the B&O had similar cars in the M26 class. So there's another 12,000 cars all running around with K brakes, most likely into the late 40s. This is a photo from 47. A lot of reefers had K-brakes too. This is a early PFE reefer. We can see the K-brake hardware right here. This is also interesting because of a new stencil for weigh information, and we'll get to that a little later in the presentation. Tank cars, lots of tank cars had K-brakes. KC, K connected, that's what this is, and the KD, K disconnected. They're very, very common, and they're easy to spot because, you know, there's nothing, there's a lot of light that gets in under the underframes of tank cars. This is a classic photo that is great inspiration for weathering, and also to ask the age-old question, just what color is boxcar red? But that's a whole nother clinic. We won't go into that. What I'm interested in here in this Library of Congress image are a couple of the freight cars here. This is one of those B&O M26 cars, all right? It's not an X29 on the B&O. It's an M26, very similar to the Penzi cars. And because I could download a very nice TIFF image of this from the Library of Congress, we could get a closer look at this car. The number, although grubby, I was able to figure it out. And from the records, I found this was built in late 26, early 1927. What's really interesting about this is that it's got only one grab iron over here. Remember I mentioned something about in early 1930s, a second grab iron on the left side? That's really common. You see that on a lot of models, but that wasn't required originally. So models from the 20s, models representing prototypes of the 20s and teens, may not have this second grab iron until later in their lives. We also see a little bit of a silhouette of the K brake system here. This also is an interesting car. It's got the original door. It's also got original lettering. Yes, believe it or not, 20 years after it was built, this still has original lettering. Can you believe that? Lots of good weathering on here, lots of good ideas to inspire a model. And we look at the car beside it, beat up Illinois Central gondola, the K brake system, easy to spot in the silhouette on the underframe. This is not a USRA gondola, by the way. This is something similar, but it doesn't quite follow the same design. This should head to the rip track, not only for these holes in the sheathing up here, but look at this grab iron. That was what we would call a safety hazard. So yeah, you could probably model it if you'd like, but it would probably be heading to your rip trap. Notice on the left, 2 grab irons. Remember the B&O car? 1 grab iron. This IC car has actually been upgraded at some point, and it has 2 grab irons there. So, what can we do with some of our models? Some of the modifications are pretty easy. Removing a grab iron, changing out the brake system, maybe changing the trucks. We can also update weigh data with a different location and date that is more in tune to our focal point of modeling. And of course, take a look at prototype photos to see what you find. I always recommend, you know, the prototype is a great guide. Let that guide your work. Now, here are a couple AccuRail models. I did a few things with these that are really quite easy. The ACL car, this is a double sheathed USRA boxcar. I removed the second grab up here. You can see a shadow of it. I removed that with a chisel blade and then carefully did some scribing of grooves for the sheathing across that, and then touched it up a bit. Down below is the AccuRail single sheath boxcar, not a USRA car, actually follows a Canadian National and Grand Trunk prototype a little closer. I removed both grabs on this one and added a metal grab on the left side here. I also changed out the sill steps for, I believe, A-line metal sill steps. Both of these have factory applied lettering, okay? Something to keep in mind. Now, changing out the brake hardware is pretty easy. This is how it looks originally, all right, on a lot of AccuRail cars. What I did up here on this Santa Fe car is I shaved the mount for the valve here down to the floor, and then I plugged that hole with a piece of sprue that I melted over a candle. Just plug it in there when it's hot, hit it with some MEK, let it cool off, and then trim it when it's cool. Did the same thing for anything over on the other side of the sill for the air tank. And then this is a Tichy K brake cylinder, K connected, KC. And what I found is when these cars were upgraded, the air cylinder for the AB system went in the same place. All right. They didn't want to futz too much and change around too much of the rodding and everything underneath the car. So this main component right here went in the same place as the original K components. You can add levers and rods if you want. I added a couple things here on this one. It's really not difficult. Once you do a few of these, it goes like a breeze. Here's another, this is another, the same AccuRail car shown 2 slides earlier. I redid the AccuRail underframe with straight center sills done with evergreen styrene, and of course the change out of the brake hardware. I did not plug the hole in here, so I will lose points in an NMRA contest on this one, but you know, so it goes. No one sees the underframe that closely anyway, and I build models to operate. But I did add the train line on this one, and I added the rodding. Again, once you do that a few times, it goes pretty easily. We move on to a different car. This is a Walthers USRA steel gondola, mill gondola. It's all steel, 70 ton. The USRA cars came into use in 1919, and they were distributed by the USRA to several different railroads. The lower one is out of the box. That's how it looks. And then the upper one, I've done some modifications, added the grab irons. I also blanked out this special note that was on the original. And I added a KD brake system on this. And there's what I did. One of my mottos is keep it simple. And what's neat about the K systems are the simplicity of putting them into models. I did add a couple rods and portions of the levers underneath. And this is the air line that attaches the air reservoir to the brake cylinder here. Pretty easy. Now, in case you're wondering, I use AccuRail Proto HO scale couplers, which are very nice. I've found them to work very well. I also added, I believe this is air hose from maybe an old Intermountain kit. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've messed with this model. And of course, the bottom one is how it looks out of the box. Gonna have to do some surgery to remove a couple of the parts here, and then, you know, put the Tichy parts into place. Couple other gondolas. Bowser produces a Pennsylvania Railroad GS steel gondola. There were about 22,000, I believe, of these built prototypes starting in 1902. Very common car. Gondolas, of course, are the pickup trucks of the rails. They can carry anything. Now, I didn't put the brake system on this yet. It's set up for AB. The upper one is actually a Finero and Camerlengo resin kit, and I did the K disconnect brake system on it. Now, this was a little tighter. They give you a nice casting for this, for the levers and everything. This is actually one piece in here. But I had something left over from a red Caboose boxcar, so I just subbed that in. It was a lot easier. Again, keep it simple, right? That's what I live for half the time when I model. Now, hoppers are a little different. a number of different hopper designs have been produced over time. The AccuRail USRA car, Bowser GLA, and the H-Class hoppers. Those are all models of prototypes that appeared, well, the USRA cars in 1919, but the GLA and the H-Class hoppers for the Penzi appeared a decade and a half before that. So, but they all come with AB brakes, AB brake components that need to be changed to a KD system. Here's what I did on Bowser car. I believe I used cow scale castings on this one and a Tichy brake rod here, brake lever. And just a piece of wire connecting the two in the back. It's really pretty easy. And you don't have to worry about a triple valve. In case you're wondering, you know, this is your valve on the K brake system. It's attached to the air cylinder. So it's not a separate piece like you see on the AB brake systems. So the KD brake hardware, there's a couple different ways you can do this. As I mentioned in the last slide, I used a cow scale set that I had in my stash. Tichy produces both the KD, the disconnected up here in the left, and the KC, the connected. You can also easily make your own disconnected K brake system with a very sharp blade and carefully cut along this connection between the air reservoir and the brake cylinder. Really, it's easy to do. I've done quite a few of these. Just be careful, sharp blade, watch your fingers, and it's not a flat thing, so it rolls some. Just, you know, take it easy and do a slow cut on that. And here's how they look installed on a couple of AccuRail underframes right here. I added a piece of thin styrene. Geez, this might be a 1x3, 1x4, I can't remember. It bends easily to go over as a strap to keep that in place. And I also added the air line that connects the brake cylinder to the air reservoir. Now, the brake cylinder on some of these are mounted backwards. So this is something, you know, that I picked up from various prototype photos. And here's the lever mounted on the bolster here. Now, here's the finished products. The AccuRail on the left. This is the Bowser GLA on the right. Notice I put the brake cylinder on the Bowser one pointed out, the AccuRail one pointed in. But again, similarly, a strap of styrene over that air reservoir. You can even see the air line in the back. What I didn't do, I did not include the retainer valve and retainer line on here. I think I learned about that after I built this one. But I had also removed all the cast-on, all the grabs that were outstanding. These here I left on. They're the original plastic. I just removed all these other and replaced them with wire. And on the Bowser one, the prototype photos I had of the BC and G hoppers had a different type of arrangement for these ladder grabs. So I changed that too. Here's a little closer look at the backdated brake details of the two hoppers. Now, the one thing about hoppers is they were rebuilt a lot. So I'm model 1926, and this is something I got to watch. It's fun. I enjoy it. I'm a nut. But if you model later, especially after the 40s, a lot of hoppers were either retired or rebuilt. When they were rebuilt after 37, they had to have AB brake systems installed. So you probably wouldn't see many hoppers after World War II with K brake systems. Tank cars, here's a good prototype shot. We see the K brake component right here. Very typical. And how many of you have this car from Lifelike, Proto 2000 tank car? Because they produced them. They produced them in AB and also K brake systems. This is a Roxana Petroleum car built in 26. And again, it's pretty easy to just remove the parts. Again, the air reservoir, the brake cylinder is here, and I cannot remember where the valve is on this, but I removed that too, of course. And there's a close-up of a KC brake component on a tank car, and there's what I installed. I left the the rodding and levers in place. Didn't have to replace those. I just put this casting right where this AB brake cylinder was. It's been painted since then, so I've been moved along. Here it is on the model, trackside view. So everything so far that I've discussed here has been about the physical hardware changes to make these models reflect some prototype practices. Another element to consider are the stencils for the weigh data. Freight cars were frequently weighed, and the information was updated via stencils. The journals were repacked much more frequently. That would be on the right side, just above the right bolster. And some of the lettering is so small, it's hard to read, but it's fun to put in a paint patch there and a new piece of decal too. When I do these changes, I try to pick a new weigh date within a couple years of my modeling focus. So let's take a look. Remember this one from earlier? There's the paint out right there. And down here at the far end, that's the little paint out for the journal repacking. It's a nice little detail. Once you see this, all of a sudden, you see them everywhere on prototype cars. And here's a model. Believe it or not, this is the same model, just different lighting. The original lettering from the factory, from the AccuRail factory. I realized just within the last year that this still has the new February 1919 date on it, and I model 1926. So this car, prototype car, would have been reweighed a few times before my focal point. So I did a paint out here. I keep some decal sheets. I take the scrap decal that's empty, and I just brush paint on various shades of reds and browns in order to trim out and use for this. So I did that right here, and I also did it on the right side for the journal repack too. Also in this car, and other details that a lot of people are starting to add to their models, this tag here, this is your route card, and a placard on the door, and oftentimes it's on the car end too. On there's the placard board on metal end cars, and it's typically on metal doors too. With wood sheath cars, that stuff went most everywhere. Here's a close-up of what I did. So I applied a strip of red decal. This is still the original factory applied, AccuRail applied lettering here. First off, I brushed on some future floor polish. It's an acrylic gloss. I can't remember what Pledge calls it now. They seem to change it every 2 years lately. But it's great stuff. I use it in decal prep. And you can brush it on. It's self-leveling. After that dries, then I apply the color decal. And when that's setting up, I can then apply the weight, the weigh location, and the weigh date stencils. They don't have to be in a straight line. Sometimes, some crews were pretty neat and they got them in a nice straight line. Not all crews did that. But oftentimes what you'll see are these letters and numbers are of a brighter hue than the rest of the lettering on the car. So there's 5 separate decals right here. The color decal in the back, this 100, the WX, the 2-, and then the 2 and 5. Is that 5 or 6? I know this was separate because it's a little bunged up there. So, yeah, it's a little extra detail. I enjoy doing it. And once you have several cars with this kind of detail sitting on your main line or in your yards, it starts to really look a lot like the prototype. So backdating freight cars, what I enjoy doing is letting the prototype be my guide. There are so many resources out there, aren't there? Lots of photographs on the web, NMRA, that book I mentioned, lots of freight car books are out there now. Do an easy conversion first. That's always the best thing to do. Share your work, bring it to a division meet, talk about it, and get some more ideas on how to do things. It's really not that difficult. It does take some time, but when you have a lot of your fleet updated with details that reflect the prototype, you've really got a unique set of cars right there. So enjoy your updates, share your models. If you have questions, please drop me an email. That's my email there at the bottom. I'll leave this up for a little bit. And if you look at this yard photo here, here's a part of a placard on the end of the car here, another one here too. Sometimes they're ripped a little bit too. They don't always tear off the entire placard from these cars. Sometimes there's remnants that remain. And also, you probably noticed some of the chalk marks that I enjoy applying. I use a very sharp, cool gray Prismacolor pencil for that. And that's it. I don't remember how I get out of this. There we go. Stop sharing.
Eric, did you want to take any questions right now?
Yeah, I'm happy to take any questions right now. Let me have a sip of beer here.
Let's see if anybody has any questions for Eric.
Let's see.
So far, I haven't seen any in chat.
Eric, what size rod are you using for your brake lines?
Okay, the rods, the brake rods underneath the car, I typically use 12 thousandths or 125. Okay. The brake line, I'm trying to use up some 15 thousandths that I have. I don't always install the brake line. I do on occasion, maybe on a Westerfield model, something that I really want to make pop. But yeah, typically I stick with 125 wire. Tichley has some phosphor bronze wire. I'm still using up some of my old Detail Associates wire too.
Okay, nice.
Okay.
Looked really good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it very much.
Yep. Thank you very much for attending our Piedmont division.
I appreciate the invite.
Yeah.
Right.
Enjoy sharing.
Anytime when we're online or come to one of our meetings if you're ever around.
Okay. So there's a running board question there. A couple questions came up.
Yeah.
Let's see. Were roof walks painted? Some, yes. If you find some great photos, again, the Library of Congress has some good color shots that Jack Delano took in Chicago, and there's a lot of wood running boards to be seen, and many of them are different shades of the boxcar color, or they're gray. Many, if it needed to be repaired offline, sometimes they would just put a bare board up there and not paint it because the home road didn't want to pay for the extra paint. So you often see zebra kind of looking running boards up there on a lot of cars. It's something I like to add. Usually, maybe I'll use like a rail brown or occasionally a medium gray, and I'll do 2 or 3 boards on a car. And then I'll skip a couple cars, and I'll just do 1 board on a few cars, that type of thing. Joe Sullivan asked, how often were cars repainted? Wood sheath cars typically were repainted between 7 and 10 years. Sometimes, it all depends on where they were. I grew up around Pittsburgh, and I missed the heady days there, where the noontime sun was not to be seen because of all the smog. And, freight cars going through Pittsburgh or passing around there, or Cleveland, or many other big Rust Belt cities of the time, they took a beating just from the environment that they passed through. So, it's one of those things. Again, look at the prototype, see what you can to my cars. Any more lately, after I do a fresh decal work, my flat coat I tint with a few drops of the car color. That gives the whole car a little chalky appearance. It also cuts the brightness of the white lettering. So it's really easy to do. I do more and more airbrush work lately, and just doing that, applying a flat coat. I think I use Model Master. I don't know how long that's going to be available, but I usually tint it with a couple drops of the car color, and I use Vallejo paints for all my painting now. So they work well with the Model Master acrylic. I think it's the Acryl Clear Flat lusterless finish from Model Master. Let's see. Where do we find the Tichy KD brake systems? They're in the Tichy catalog. You can find it online. It's Tichy, Tichy, Tichy Train Group.
Yep.
You
It just got posted into the chat.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Thank you, Scott. Let's see. Oh, the boilers on the flat car on the last slide. Those are Resin Car Works products. I can't remember if they're currently available. I help out with the web work there with that small company. They produce a lot of interesting resin freight car kits and some resin details too. But those were boilers that were, I think, made in Kewanee, Wisconsin, I believe. Just a neat load, something different. Frank saw a photo of it, said, I want to produce that. So he had his son cook it up in 3D and had a couple printed shapeways, and we used those as the masters for the resin casting.
Do you have any insight as to when the Bettendorf T-section trucks were introduced and when they stopped making them?
I don't know about when they stopped making them, but I think it was 55 or 56 T-section, L-section, I-section trucks were banned in interchange. It's because the joints, some of the they were failing. They weren't as strong as the cast steel side frame trucks that were more common from the early 20s on. But I've seen photos of freight cars in the late aughts with T-section Bettendorf trucks. So they go fairly early.
Okay, there was one question from Mike Cummings also. Do you see it on your screen there?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Transition. I gave effective dates, dead dates. The arch bar truck ban, that had been pushed back almost a dozen times. And finally, the ICC said, nope, that's it. This date, 1940, that's it. Same with the K brakes. That had been pushed back a number of times. And we see that all through with many different regulations. Actually, it happened with the, just been talking about this with some friends recently. It happened quite a bit with the amendment to the Safety Appliances Act of 1911, okay? There were still cars running that weren't upgraded to those specs in World War I. They were supposed to be updated by, I think, early 1913. It got pushed back. The railroad said, we got too many cars to do. We can't do them all in that kind of time. And the ICC said, okay, all right, that's fine. And then finally, after World War I, it may have been the USRA who put their foot down and said, early 1922, that's it. All these cars, if they don't meet the safety appliance specs that we've come up with, they got to go. And that was it. So it does take a while. You'll find, if you do some research into some of the minutes of the American Railway Association and the AAR and the Early Master Car Builders Association, you'll find quite a few moments where they are scrambling to make some sort of delay on a requirement.
All right. Well, that looks like the questions are done. So I want to thank you again, Eric, for being here. Let's give him a round of applause, guys. He did a great job tonight.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it very much.
Invite. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Walt, is there anything else that you want to say before we close?
I just wanted to say, we've got a lot of divisions actually in our division meeting tonight. A lot of people have joined in. We've got folks from the Palmetto division. Eric is actually the superintendent up at the Cumberland division. And so it's really nice. And there may be some other people from other divisions here. It's one of the ways we're doing this. It's open, and we're just glad people can join in and see how we're doing some things, and hopefully be able to do some things in their own divisions as well. And but we're glad y'all join in with us tonight. So just watch out for your ballots, and should be coming out on the 22nd. The email will, and do that. John Stevens, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I've been getting some messages from Rick Coble. So he says that, and he's running the election with Chuck.
Right.
He's emailing the ballot package to Chuck tonight. The paper ballots will be mailed out on the 21st of October. The election buddy will be out on the 22nd of October. And if you're going to be a write-in candidate, your name will not be on the ballot. You'll not be on the website, nor will you be included in the e-blast. So you'll just have to call or email all your buddies and say, hey, write me in.
Okay. All right. I think we can handle that if somebody wants to do it. So anybody have anything they want to share tonight? Anything somebody has on their mind, or anything that might be of interest? So we're going to be doing this. Perry, you want to tell everybody about next month with what we got coming up next month for the speaker? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Next month, Dave Berman from up in Wisconsin is going to be doing our presentation. He's going to be doing a presentation on rail to canal connections and that kind of modeling, barges and rail interchange. I think it should be really interesting, and not too distant from us. You can find that kind of connection. So it has application all the way up and down this half of the country.
Very much so.
Yep.
Very good.
So.
Okay. Should we wrap it up then for tonight?
I think we're wrapping it up. Just want to thank everybody for joining.